Hi everyone, it's Rax, bringing you yet another guide for Season 27. This time it's the Whirlwind Barb. The mechanics of the Whirlwind Barb are pretty much the same, but we are going to get a superpower this time, which is going to make it on a completely different level and make it extremely fun. It's also the starter set for Barbarian, so this might be the best starter opener ever, pretty much I've ever seen in Diablo 3. So, of course, there is a full Whirlwind guide on Maxroll written by Rob, a very famous barbarian in Diablo 3. So if you don't get anything, if you don't get everything out of this guide, please head on over to Maxroll and you can check out the written form. All right, if we're playing the Whirlwind Barb, we got to put on the Whirlwind set. The two-piece increases the damage of your Ren by 500% and increases its duration to 15 seconds. One critical thing to understand, one of the most misunderstood things about the Whirlwind Barb, is Whirlwind does not do your damage. Let that sink in. Whirlwind does not do your damage. Ren does. This is very important. 4-piece during Whirlwind and for 3 seconds after, you gain 50% damage reduction and your applied Rens deal triple damage. See the damage for Ren stacking up there? And 6, Whirlwind gains Dust Devil runes and Whirlwind and Ren damage is increased by 10,000%. All of our damage is Ren. And let's see exactly how the mechanics work and how to put this together. For the weapons, we have Little Rogue and Slanderer. And real quick on the stats for this entire build, you want the basic things. Crit. You need enough cooldown to keep your Wrath of the Berserker up. And then you want massive area damage. Now there's something very important to understand here. You must understand this for solo pushing. So Ambo's Pride, when you Whirlwind, it's going to automatically apply Rend, right? So you would think that all you have to do is hold right click and it applies Rend and you're good, right? This is wrong. Rends applied from Whirlwind do not activate area damage. And we're going to take a lot of area damage. Area damage, area damage, area damage, area damage, area damage, area damage. We take it everywhere. This is the only way you're going to get a good clear. But when you're holding right click, it doesn't apply your best stat, area damage. So how do we fix that? Well, this season, as you're dragging enemies along with Whirlwind, you're going to deal all of your damage in your physical cycle of Convention of Elements, right? Because Rend, the Bloodbath rune, is physical. So you want to stop right before physical, and you want to manually press Rend. If you Rend yourself, now it applies area damage. If you Whirlwind with Rend, it doesn't. So you stop a little bit before physical, you Rend. You try to make an Oculus ring, then you whirl over to the Oculus ring, and then again, Rend. And that's how you're going to deal major damage. You have to understand this. If you don't understand, there are going to be barbarians that do 5, 10 tiers higher than you, and you're not going to know why. When you're doing T16 or when you're doing speed GRs, you don't need to manually rend. Manually rending only helps you if you have massive density. But when you solo push, drag them right before physical, rend, make an Oculus ring, get in the Oki, physical is there, rend, press it. And then you're going to deal major damage, and I'll show you that in the gameplay. Make sure you understand that. So, for the weapon, we want percent damage, area damage, and cooldown. In the other slot, we will take the other piece of the set, the Slanderer and Little Rogue. Now here, we're going to go with strength, area damage, and cooldown, whereas here, we went for percent damage. Now, why is that? That's because when you manually rend, when you press it, it only calculates the damage off of your main hand. But when you're whirlwinding and applying rend, it alternates between them. So that means when you're solo pushing, you're going for that rank 1 clear, and you're manually pressing rend during physical, the only way it's going to calculate your damage is on the Slanderer, or whatever you have in your main hand. So your main hand has to have that percent damage roll, but your offhand doesn't because it's just essentially a stat stick. For the boots, we will take Int Vit All Resistant Armor to stay alive. On the pants, we will take Strength, Vitality, and All Resist, and we're going to sock it with diamonds so we can stay alive. On your Band of Might, you might see that it's a teal color and be like, Rax, what is that? In Season 27, Angelic Crucibles drop. They're a reagent that you can apply to an item. You can give it primal ancient stats and a superpower. There are 2 superpowers that you can use for Whirlwind that could help you. The first one is Whirlwind constantly pulls in and holds all your enemies. Now you might think, well, Rax, that's already in the game. That's just Whirlwind Hurricane, right? It's the Hurricane rune. No, this is much more powerful. It has no diminishing returns, so it's going to infinitely bring the enemies, and you can bring them all the way to the end. This is probably going to be the better option for, I would say, 99% of players, and it's also the more fun way to play it. So I would just recommend that you take the Whirlwind power. The other power is the Wrath of the Berserker power, which just gives you 100% more damage. Now, if you're a very, very experienced Whirlwind player, and you're very good at pulling the monsters with your spear and stomping them with your wrenching smash, and then manually rending on physical cycle, and you're so good at it that you don't need the Whirlwind power to just do all the work for you, then probably the highest ceiling is still to clear with the Wrath of the Berserker power. But for most people, the Whirlwind, just gathering everything up, is going to be better, and it is quite powerful. So it's a very good idea to use, since you can only have one of these items, you can only upgrade one of them that you're wearing. It's usually a very good idea to use it on Band of Might because it's very hard to get a good one. We're looking for crit area damage, and we'll take Bane of the Trapped as the gem for more damage. In our other ring slot, we will take Convention of the Elements. This should not be surprising. This is in like every build ever. Crit area damage is what we want again, and we'll take Teguk because we're always going to be channeling Whirlwind, so we're going to get all the buffs, we're going to get increased damage, and we're going to get more armor. Lamentation is the belt that we want. Rend stacks twice now, and the damage is increased by 150%. Strength, Vit, All Resist, and Percent Life are the best rolls. On to the gloves. We want crit area damage and cooldown. And for the shoulders, we'll take Strength, All Resist, cooldown, and Rend damage. I will tell you a little trick. For the gloves and the shoulders, it can be very hard to get the quads or exactly this roll. One thing you can do after you farm for a little while is you can get any piece of the waist set, any crappy piece. Let's say you got a leftover pair of pants and they're non-ancient, that's fine. Go over to your cube and use recipe 4. That pair of pants will change into another piece of the waist over and over and over. And eventually you can make yourself a non-ancient, very good gloves or shoulders. You can get like the quad gloves or the trifecta shoulders, whatever you're looking for. Yes, it will be non-ancient, but it will have all the right stats. If you've been farming a little bit of Paragon and you have your augments going, then having a quad pair of gloves like this, even if it's non-ancient, will be a huge damage increase for you. On the chest piece, we will take Strength, reduce damage from elites, and Rend damage, and then we'll sock it with diamonds to survive. For the helmet, Strength, Vit, Crit, again socketing with the diamond for more cooldown. On the Squirts necklace, we want physical crit, and I always get asked, Rax, why do you take Squirts necklace on Whirlwind if you never have the buff up? Reason you take Squirts is if you get a shield pylon. If you get a shield pylon, you got double damage for 2 minutes because the flavor is on your follower, you're going to be dominating. We definitely need Bane of the Stricken in this build to help us kill the boss at the end. And finally, we have Mortix Brace, physical strength, all resist, and crit. This is going to give our Wrath of Berserker all of the runes, so we're going to get a lot of damage and a lot of survivability. Now on to the skills. We're going to take Rend Bloodbath. When you take a rune, it applies that rune as Whirlwind is going. Remember, when solo pushing, you only are going to apply area damage if you press the Rend button. If you hold Whirlwind and it's applying Rend, you get no area damage. So you wait until before physical, Rend, Oculus Ring, get in the Oculus Ring, Rend, the whole world dies. When you're speed farming, you don't need to do that. You can just hold Whirlwind. Battle Rage, Swords to Plowshares. Battle Rage is going to give us more damage, but Swords to Plowshares is going to be our sustain. It's going to let us stay at full life all the time. Furious Charge, Merciless Assault. Now, Rax, why would you take Furious Charge if Whirlwind is going to be our movement skill? Remember, we need a way to proc our Band of Might. So you got to press this once every 8 seconds, and then you're going to have your Band of Might buff up. Wrath of the Berserker Insanity. We take Wrath of the Berserker with pretty much every barb build. We get all the runes, so pick whichever one you want. Threatening Shout Falter is going to give us more damage. And of course, we need Whirlwind, and we'll take Wind Shear so we can Whirlwind all the time as long as we hit enemies. For the passives, we're just going full damage. Berserker Rage, deal more damage near max fury. Rampage, you get 1% strength for killing enemies. When you get 25% strength, you're going to be pumping. Ruthless, you deal 40% more damage to enemies that are below 30% health. And Boon of Bolcathos is going to reset your Wrath the Berserker so you can have it up more often. And obviously just have more, you're going to have it up all the time. So you can have more damage and more toughness always. For the weapons slot, we have to take Ambo's Pride. Whirlwind applies Rend, and the total damage of Rend is dealt in 1 second. Huge damage increase when you finally find your first Ambo's Pride. At the beginning of the season, by the way, you should be using your materials to take a one-handed mighty weapon and keep upgrading them in the queue until you get an Ambo's Pride. The second you get this, you're going to be 1,000 times stronger. Mantle of Channeling makes a lot of sense. We're going to deal increased damage and take reduced damage whenever we're channeling something, and we're always channeling Whirlwind, so it makes a lot of sense. And finally, Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac is going to reset our cooldowns since we're always using our abilities. Now, if you're doing speed GRs and you want to just get a lot of Paragon points, there are a couple of changes that we can make. First of all, we can get rid of Istavans and instead, which is Little Organ Slanderer, and then we can pick up Ingeom and wear Ambo's Pride. The Ingeom is going to give us infinite cooldowns, and we got to wear an Ambo's Pride just so the build works. And so then here in our cube slot, we can take the Furnace, because this build is really good at clearing trash and not the best at killing elites, so this Furnace is going to bridge that gap very nicely. And then this will allow us to take Focus and Restraint. Notice how in this build, we don't need area damage anymore, because in speeds, you're not going to take the time to make a super nice pull, so you can just go with cooldown and burn everything down. And then you can also take, instead of Bane of the Stricken, you can take Wildebeest Gizzard, which is going to keep you alive, and it's going to protect your Squirt's Necklace. Then you can pick up things like Ignore Pain Bravado, which is going to let you move super fast, and it's going to help keep you alive and keep your Squirt's Necklace up. You probably don't need the Sustain here, so you can take Ferocity here with a Cheat Death, and you should be zooming along, and it should be a fantastic farming build for you. And then finally, for T16, we can get really crazy here and change things up so we can move extremely fast. And actually, when I set it up this fast, it actually hurts my eyes. You're just moving so fast, so feel free to tinker with this build however you want to do it. But Warzeshian Arm Guards makes you move extremely fast. Rachel's Ring of Larceny with a Boon of the Hoarder is going to make you move extremely fast and pick up a million gold. This is one of the only times you can actually make use of the Bolcathos weapons, because now you're never going to run out of fury to keep whirlwinding forever. You can take a Pride of Cassius to keep your Ignore Pain Bravado up so you can move even faster. You can take Pound of Flesh when you pick up the Health Globes. You can move even faster. So you're pretty much just zooming in this case. So this is one of the best T16 farmers in the entire game. And of course, now with the Whirlwind power, now that you're vacuuming everything together while you're doing this, it makes it even more overpowered. And now onto the Paragon points. In core, take move speed first, then enough vitality to survive, which shouldn't be much, and then all the rest into strength. You shouldn't need any maximum fury. For offense, take your cooldown first so you can keep your Wrath of the Berserker up, then crit hit chance, then crit hit damage, and attack speed last. For defense, take, what happened here? Take all resist first, and then life, and then armor, and life per second last. And finally, in the utility, take the area damage first, and then life on hit, and then resource cost reduction, and finally, the pickup radius. Alrighty, let's get into some gameplay, and let's see how this beautiful build works. Alright, everybody, let's see this beautiful build in action. So, pretty much, as you can see, as you whirlwind around, you are dragging everything with you. And then all that's left to do is kill them when the time is right. So let's go over some of the mechanics that we talked about earlier, but repetition builds mastery. We've got to reinforce this 100 times. First thing to understand is Whirlwind. That skill does no damage. None. Whirlwind applies Rend from Ambo's Pride. Rend does all of our damage. Now, when Whirlwind is applying Rend, it alternates our two weapons. It uses the main hand and then the offhand and the main hand and then the offhand to deal damage, right? and it applies our rune from Rend. So we're getting the Bloodbath rune. However, one thing that it does not do is it does not apply area damage. And area damage is a skill that does massive damage if you have a lot of density near you. So we have to figure out a way when we're solo pushing to activate this area damage. Now, when you're speed farming in T16 or doing very speedy rifts, you don't have to worry about this. You can just hold right click and not care about a thing because you don't have the density to make it worthwhile for you to start doing crazy stuff. But here, the way that we take advantage of area damage is by pressing Rend. So we have to manually push the Rend skill when we have a lot of density to kill everything. And we line that up with our Convention of the Elements physical cycle. So the one right before physical is lightning. It goes in alphabetical order. Lightning starts with an L, physical starts with a P, and then it resets back at the start. It goes to cold, then fire. You get it, right? So in lightning, right before physical, you want to start manually rending the big pack that you have. The idea is to kill a monster, to spawn an Oculus ring, go step in it, gives you essentially double damage, and then press Rend throughout physical. Rend, 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 Rend. And then you're going to kill everything. If you notice, when you watch me play, notice that I am not just continuously whirlwinding, especially on physical cycle. Notice the stutter steps. That's because I'm interrupting my whirlwind with Rend, Rend, Rend. That's how you're going to deal a lot of damage. I've seen many, many seasons where people say, Rax, my friend and I are playing Whirlwind Barb, but my friend is somehow doing like 5 to 10 tiers higher than me, and I don't know, I've got a little bit more Paragon than him, and I just don't get it. What's going on? You're not manually rending. You're not applying your area damage, and that's why you're not getting as high of a clear. So as long as you understand all of that, then you are going to be a winner. And remember, when you manually rend, it only calculates it off of your main hand's damage. So between your two weapons, you need to have the stronger one, the one with the highest total damage, in your main hand. You have to remember this. Commit these mechanics to memory, understand them, and use them to your advantage. So I'm going to give you a little trivia question here, and then I'm going to give you the answer. On the Rift Guardian, do you hold Whirlwind or do you press Rend? Give you a few seconds. And the answer is, it depends if the boss has ads or not. If the boss has a ton of ads, like Hamlin, you absolutely have to press Rend. So you apply area damage, so you deal way more damage. And if it's a single target boss, then you would just hold right click, and you would never manually rend ever, because area damage doesn't work on one target. So, just something to understand. And another thing is, when you're doing your speeds, if you have an opportunity, if you do have quite a few monsters on a yellow, then by all means, throw out a couple manual rends. You're going to get some extra damage in there. But the general idea is we don't like to work too hard in speeds. We want it to be nice and comfy. We just want to zoom forward and just dominate everything, right? Another thing that I don't want you to worry about is in this footage, you might say, oh my God, Rax is only doing a 127. This build sucks. This build is amazing, actually. And this build will probably, in fact, I'm certain, someone will do a 150 with this build solo next season. So it's literally at the pinnacle of the game. Not quite as strong as Hoda, but it's close. It's really good, and it's really fun. The nice thing about dragging the enemies is not only do you get a very nice pixel for your area damage, but you're also constantly crowd controlling them so they can't hit you. It keeps you alive. And also it gives you a feeling that you have a great sense of what's going on in the rift, which is something that never really happens in this game, unfortunately. But you actually feel like you have a huge say in how this goes. So In order to get a clear, the general rule in Diablo is you stay even with the bar, and then you get a conduit to zap all the elites, and then you win. Well, this build is strong enough, I just killed all the elites at Paragon 1000, and I already have a double the bar lead without any conduit or any help from any pylons. So that alone tells you that even at 1000 Paragon, I could go way, way higher than 127. And I'm quite certain, because knowing me on the PTR, I would not have spent the time to re-roll, perfect primal gear everywhere. I'm not Rob. Rob loves to sit there, and if you're missing 1 point of strength on your gear, he's going to let you know about it. But I'm a little bit different than Rob. I like to re-roll for like 3 seconds, and I just like to play. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if I didn't even have that great of gear here either. But I just have no problem trashing this. No problem trashing the 127. I know I could go way higher, even at Paragon 1000. It's really a great build. This is probably one of the best starter builds ever for Diablo 3. They hand you the Whirlwind set in the beginning. The legendary power drags everything, not only giving you damage, but also giving you survivability. It's very easy to play in speeds. It's pretty easy to play in pushing now with the Whirlwind power. It's not completely free. You got to manually rend and sit in the Oculus rings and pay attention to your COE timer if you want to get the most out of it. But you can do that with a little bit of practice. That's not too bad. I mean, it's just such a strong build. It's so fast in T16. It's so fast in speeds. It's so good in bounties. It's such a good pushing build. And if you want to support, you can support with it too. You can bring all the monsters together with Whirlwind, and your buddy can smash them all down. This build is amazing. I mean, I'm a little biased because I love barbs. I mean, barb's like my favorite. I always try to play the barb, so I'm very pro barb all the time. But I mean, this is one of the best seasons to ever play barb. They're just everything is too good to be true. The no DR Whirlwind auto puller. Never thought we'd see that. All right, so how are we doing here? Have we even gotten a single pylon here? Wait, what is going on here? This is kind of weird. We have a massive lead though. And what are we working on here? We're just working on some little itty bitty trash. Okay, let's see how we're going to handle this. We probably can't kill those elites very easily with that much density. Again, area damage gives you more damage based upon how many mobs are around you. So when you've killed most of them, you have to move. And I'm sure this is because it was on the PTR, but when I play on live, especially if it's not lagging, I'm going to make some huge pulls when I play Whirlwind. I'm going to pull the whole damn map and try to rend it down. Now, I'm going to be playing solo self-found hardcore, so if it lags, I'll probably die, but I think it's going to be worth the risk. It's going to be so satisfying if it works. Oh, there's the conduit. That's a typical Diablo 3 conduit, just way too late, but I guess it's better than nothing. And so, no problem, we will easily clean these guys up now, and let's see what we have for the Guardian. Now, I'm a very low Paragon, and I'm certain I don't have great gear here, so it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of Guardian we get. Sometimes the Guardian can be a little bit of trouble. Infernal Maiden. Infernal Maiden can hit pretty hard. Let's see if I can survive against her. So, trivia question. Do I manually rend or just hold right click on Infernal Maiden? Oh, she's going down quick, actually. Oh, wait, I have a conduit. I'm cheating. The answer is you hold right click. No manually rending. There's no ads. So there's no reason to try to apply area damage on one monster. It doesn't work. So I'm just holding right click now and pressing my Furious Charge once every 8 seconds to keep up my Band of Might. I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm doing a lot more damage to her than I thought I would. I mean, I just started fighting her and she's already, 30% dead. Usually Whirlwind is not the best boss killer, but it stacks Stricken very, very quickly. So that's good. Oh, okay. Oh, ow. My face. This is what happens when you have a very weak barb against a strong boss. But what you could do, for example, if you have a power, is you can build a little bit of stricken, and then you would go click the power. And remember, when you click it, you're going to get some ads, right? You're going to get some elites, and then guess what you're going to do? Yep, you already know. Manually rend, because now you're getting area damage from all your little friends. But make sure that you stack stricken on the boss first, because if you click the power instantly, you better pray that you can kill the boss in 1 minute. Because if you can't, then you're going to be applying stricken stacks to all the monsters pretty much equally, because you only get 1 stricken stack per attack, and it's going to put it on the quote-unquote first monster hit, and it's not always going to be Infernal Maiden, so they're going to take your stacks. Man, this boss is just wasting me here. So make sure you got some Gons before you try these big, scary bosses. Usually, most of them won't be quite this bad, but she's farming me right now on my little baby Barb. But it doesn't matter. I have an eternity to kill her. Really had very bad pylons. Really had a very bad follow-up. My conduit was atrocious. Even a little baby Barb can probably do at least a 135. So this build's really strong. All right, can I dodge these attacks? Can I stay alive here? She's almost dead. Almost got her. And anyway, I really hope that you guys are going to be looking forward to next season. It starts, I'm recording this the night before. I should have gotten this build out earlier, but I hope you guys have a lot of fun in the season. Oh my God, she just wasted me, and I'm red now. Oof, gotta go repair. We'll come back and get the last laugh. I hope you guys have an amazing season start, and I will see you guys when season 27 starts. I will be streaming it. I will be playing pretty much every class except Crusader and Witch Doctor, except I'll probably end up making a Crusader and Witch Doctor because I'm stupid, so I'll probably make everything. So I hope to see you over on Twitch. Thank you guys, and enjoy the Whirlwind Barb for season 27. I know I will.